Hey guys, welcome to Common Tenacity. I'm Jerem, here to talk about my latest obsession, Age of Calamity. When I first saw the trailer for Age of Calamity, I was so excited. I loved the original Hyrule Warriors and thought that Breath of the Wild would be a perfect setting for a Warriors game. Here are my top 10 reasons why I am excited for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Number one.
So I'm really excited about Age of Calamity. I played a lot of the original Hyrule Warriors. Played it for I think almost 240 hours, and I had just unlocked the final form of Link's Master Sword by the time I was finished. And I love the little improvements that the Age of Calamity has over the original. For instance, one of my little pet peeves was that you had to stop running in the original to open a treasure chest. In Age of Calamity, you just whack it with a sword or with a kunai or whatever weapon you have, and then it opens up. In the original, for instance, you'd have the weak point gauges for the enemies, and you'd have to, beat it down, but then it would automatically get it to the point where you would use your weak point attack on them, whether or not you were ready. In Age of Calamity, they fixed that by making that a button prompt. You press your strong attack, and then you automatically use your special attack, your weak point attack, on the enemy. Another major improvement, I think, is that there's no Gibdo or Redeads. I was not a fan of them in the original. I was not a fan of them at all. But it's okay, because they're gone in Age of Calamity, and I think that's a great improvement.
Number two.
When Nintendo released the demo for Age of Calamity, I was very excited. We played it as basically as soon as possible because we were just so ready to get our hands on it, me and Hannah. We played the demo a lot. We got everyone up to max level. We got all the Koroks seeds that are available. We got to experience the story for a bit, and that kind of blew us away. The opening cutscene with the diminutive guardian going back in time. I don't think anyone really saw that coming, or at least not anyone that I was aware of. And it was nice just being able to just get our hands on the demo and being able to just play it, get used to the controls. The controls are slightly different with Age of Calamity because they did get rid of the My Fairy system from Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, and so then I just got to get around that, and so it was really good getting our hands on the demo.
Number three.
I'm really excited about how the gameplay looks in Age of Calamity. Like I said before, I loved playing the original Hyrule Warriors. I played that game for almost 240 hours, and I unlocked the final form of the Master Sword, and I'm very happy about that. That was my goal right before Age of Calamity came out. I kind of grinded for the last little bit to get the last of the weapons. But while playing the game, we noticed a lot of simple yet very nice touches that they did. For instance, destructible environment. The original Hyrule Warriors didn't really have much in terms of what you could do to the actual environment. If there's a tree, it's always going to be a tree, and it's always there. With Age of Calamity, you get to the point where you can destroy the tree. You can get wood from that. There's towers, and there's the Bokoblin skull bases that you can just decide to just blow up, and then they just shatter into a million pieces, and I think that's great. They integrated some other things from Breath of the Wild as well. For example, the Whiz Robes. And you get their rods that you're able to use, and you cast fire and ice and lightning damage on enemies, which then they lose durability, kind of like in the original game, because your weapon in this game doesn't really lose durability. And so it's nice that they bring stuff like that. For example, the sailcloth. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but they somehow found a way to integrate the sailcloth into the game, and I think that's great. I also appreciate how every champion that we've seen so far has a special utility. It's the ZR button on the Switch controller, where Link can shoot his arrows. Impa is able to put their symbols on enemies and then make clones out of them, which he can do crazy amounts of damage. And then Zelda is able to activate her runes. And so therefore they're able to, each champion feels unique outside of just their simple weapon strings, their simple weapon combos, and that's really fascinating to me. The main menu for Age of Calamity, I think, is really fascinating. In the original game, they had the free mode and legend mode, which is basically the campaign, and then they had adventure mode, which was just a separate a grid where you could just play little mini challenges. But because this game is canon, as far as Nintendo is saying, then it all makes sense within the map. And so their training missions is what they are. And so it gives a reason for why Link is fighting Daruk. It's not because Daruk is just arbitrarily evil for a level. It's because they're training together. And it's really cool how they just put both of those together so you get the best of both worlds, where you get the campaign and you get the random battles, but they make sense. There's another level where there's an infestation of Lizalfos, and so you need to defeat 300 Lizalfos in a couple of minutes, but that makes sense in the game world, and I think that's really cool, and I'm really excited for that.
Number 4.
I'm very excited for all the characters we're going to be able to play as. So far we've gotten our hands on the first 3, Link, Impa, Zelda, and I get the feeling that there's going to be fewer characters, but there's going to be more focus on each character. I love the original Hyrule Warriors. It was great. I believe the original game had, I think, 32 characters, and then over the course of like Legends and then other DLC, they included like another 10, so I believe there are about 42 characters right now for the full roster for Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. And that's a lot of characters, and a lot of them I really don't care for. This game, I get the feeling that I'm going to like a lot of the characters more. So far, my personal favorite character is Impa, just because of her clones and her ability to do so much crazy damage all at a time. My least favorite, actually, so far is Zelda. I'm not a huge fan of her style where she stands stills to fight. I like being able to move around and hit people, but it is really cool for Zelda in particular that her normal attack string combo, her normal attacks, deal the Sheikah Slate damage to an enemy. So like for example, a big enemy has a bomb over them, you can use Zelda's normal attack to to get to the weak point gauge for the enemy, and that's really cool. I'm excited for what other champions there are. People are talking about maybe King Rome, maybe there's gonna be Master Koga, these other characters that are there, Pura, Robbie, that people are throwing out. I'm hoping that we get to play as them, but if not, then that's okay. I'm still gonna appreciate it. I am really hoping that we get to play as the villains. Their new villain they've been showing, the man with the dark hood, who I'm sure we're all gonna know all sorts of things about here in a week. Very excited for that, with the scepter. I'm hoping we get to play as him. We don't know his name yet, but I'm very excited to learn more about them.
Number 5.
I'm excited for how big the maps are, just the scale of these maps. The original Hyrule's Warrior games had, I'd say, decent sized maps. I never would say that most of them were too small, but with Breath of the Wild being as massive as it is, and each map having to take up so much of the land, I mean, from what I can tell so far, there's only one map of Gerudo Desert by the looks of it. I'm hoping that there may be more. They take up a lot of space, so you have like Gerudo Town in one part of the map, and then you have the entire desert, and then the Yiga stronghold, just from what I've seen so far. I don't know if that's exactly accurate or not. We'll see. But I mean, I would have not been surprised to see Gerudo Town as just its own map, at one point, and that would have been, fine with me. But they decided to go the big route, and I'm very excited for that. One of the things that I think they really improved on and from the original Hyrule Warriors is the keeps. In the original, they're just a bunch of squares, and which is fine, and it works, and it lets you easily know where the keeps are because there's a blue or red square. But they were also just kind of the same. You just go to a keep, and it's a square, and then you conquer it. In this, they integrate the keeps better with the landscape. So, for instance, a keep could be the marketplace in the Hyrule Castle. It could be an area over there. It could be a ravine. For instance, in the level with the Guardian, the the enemy keep, which is where a bunch of Lothalfos are, is where there's I think it's like a little like lake that you can go to, and then it's a bigger area than a normal keep. I like that we get to see all of these locations that are from the original Breath of the Wild in Age of Calamity. Lon Lon Ranch. We get to see the little scarecrows. Someone, I noticed that another YouTuber found that the scarecrows in Lon Lon Ranch in the Hyrule Castle battlefield have the same design as the original scarecrows from Ocarina of Time, and I think that's really cool.
Number 6.
I am loving the music of Age of Calamity. I love the main theme that plays when you're on the tower and the main menu where you're figuring out where you can go. It's very short, I feel. I think we figured out it's only like 16 bars or something like that. But they're a really good 16 bars. I love the little sound effects that happen when you unlock a treasure chest or defeat an enemy. And it's just fun being in that atmosphere of Breath of the Wild again. I'm really excited for what they're going to do with the music. They did just release a short snippet of Mipha's theme as a battle theme, and that sounds really good. I'm also really excited for when they get to Hyrule Castle, when Link makes his march on the enemy, and it's filled with malice and there's guardians, and the music is just so good. I am so excited for the remix that is going to come from that when the Calamity hits, and I feel like that's the perfect song for that level that's gonna happen when they're leaving Hyrule Castle, trying to evade the Calamity. And I'm just really excited for all the music that is gonna come from this.
Number 7.
I'm really excited for the Koroks because my wife is really excited for the Koroks.
Yeah, haha!
In all seriousness, though, it is because it's just a fun little thing to find. Like, it's replayability for each of the levels. I mean, I've played the first chapter, each level, probably about 3 or 4 times trying to find the Koroks. Unfortunately not succeeding. There were 2 that we couldn't find, so we had to use a guide. And so but it was fun, though. It was fun scouring the map, trying to solve all the puzzles that were there to get to the Koroks. From what Nintendo has shown of just screenshots, there's going to be some fun puzzles that we're going to need to solve to get some of these Koroks, and I am very excited for that.
Number 8.
So this might sound a little weird, but I am really excited for the menuing in Age of Calamity. I loved upgrading all of the characters in the original Hyrule Warriors. There's the badge system, and you got like the monster parts of them, or like characters like Sheik's turban, Link's boot, things like that. And I loved getting all of those equipment and farming them to an extent, and just slowly watching my characters upgrade. Getting more special meter bars, getting more heart pieces, getting all of these just slowly becoming stronger. And Age of Calamity brings that back, and they kind of improve on it too. They reintroduced cooking from Breath of the Wild, where you get your upgrades, and I love how they do that, where you're able to, cook a meal before a battle, and you just get a temporary buff before a battle. I never personally used that really in the original Hyrule Warriors, but because they had like the apothecary, I believe it was. I love that you're able to upgrade the weapons. Again, I think that's a better system than in Breath of the Wild, where you're able to like get weapons as a random drop and then use them as fuel for your even stronger weapons. And so you put all of your weak weapons into one big weapon so that you're able to just dominate your enemies. I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out with like Link having so many different weapon types. He has the single-handed sword, the two-handed weapons like the iron warhammer. He has a boomerang, a spear. I don't know of any other weapons off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there's more. I'm assuming he's going to eventually get the Master Sword. I don't think they've actually shown that 100% yet. Maybe they have. But I'm wondering how that'll all play out as far as the upgrading of the weapons.
Number 9.
I'm really excited for the story of Age of Calamity. When they showed that it was going to be a prequel to Breath of the Wild when they first announced it, my mind was blown. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we needed. It's going to show more of the characters, which we only have a little bit of. We have, just like for each champion, we had like their diaries and maybe some memories and whatever they actually said when speaking with Link when, he goes to rescue them. And that's about it. I mean, people are talking about like Urbosa and Zelda's mother. I mean, that was a big thing, and they kind of brought more of that about in the Ballad of the Champions. But then there's more, and I hope that they really flesh out the characters, bring them more into focus to each of them. Why does Rivali actually hate Link so much? What is their rivalry? I love that this game is going to be canon. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work with like the parallel timelines, if this is a parallel timeline or not. Personally, right now, calling it that I think it is, and that these two timelines are going to, I would even venture to say, work together. Is kind of my guess. I don't know how that's going to work, but I feel like there's just enough material in the new Breath of the in the original Breath of the Wild to go back and help out with the with Age of Calamity, and we're going to see some integration there just from what we've seen so far. Is this going to be the saddest Zelda game ever? Are we just going to see all of the champions die? And is our little diminutive guardian going to betray us? I hope not, but I'm also keeping my eye on it.
Number 10.
And the last reason why I'm so excited for Age of Calamity is how much they've done for cooperative play. In the original Hyrule Warriors, in order to play cooperative, you had to select a level and then choose two-player mode. It's really nice that you get to choose two-player mode from the menu, and then the game just understands that from that session on, you're just going to be in two-player mode. That is so nice, because now this is just a game that my wife and I can just enjoy. And we're just going to play it, literally, all day. It's just really nice to have that opportunity to just be able to just enjoy this game together. Both players get experience, we both get more resources because we're defeating more enemies. It's just a lot more efficient, and I really appreciate that. One of the little things that Nintendo did is for whenever you're a character on a mini map, I think there's green, blue, or yellow are the three colors of arrows for playable characters. Depending on which character you are in single player or multiplayer, the arrow that you currently are will flash on your minimap. And so when I'm green, the green arrow flashes. And then right below in player 2, Hannah is the blue arrow. The blue arrow for her will flash. And so therefore you can just look at the minimap. You don't need to try to remember which one you are because you keep switching back and forth between all the characters. You can just enjoy the game, and it's just a lot easier. It's also nice just because couch co-op is just kind of dying. It's not really a thing that developers really care for anymore, and I kind of find that disappointing. So it's nice to just finally have a game where it can be just me and my wife. We don't really need an internet connection at all. We can just sit down and just destroy hundreds of bokoblins. What more could you ask for? So that's the top 10 reasons why I'm excited for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Hannah and I are really excited to play the game. We will be streaming it all day on November 20th, live at our Twitch channel. Link is in the description. Come join us as we take on this new adventure. Until next time, this is Common Tenacity, signing out.